Masters of the Universe finally hit streaming this last week, and oh my god, it was an absolute journey. Unfortunately, I never had the privilege of growing up with He-Man. It was something that I always desperately wanted to watch, and when I heard this movie was announced, I binged the crap out of the shows. The original show, the remakes, including the 1987 Dolph Lundgren film. I really enjoyed it. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I did. So with all of that, I was fully prepared to go into Masters of the Universe, go catch all of the little Easter eggs that hopefully they would have put into the film, hopefully have fun, hopefully just not be disappointed with this movie, because after watching all of the trailers and just the shit ton of promo that they had for this film, I just really didn't want to be disappointed with it. It looked like it was gonna be so much fun, and my expectations were met. Maybe I'm just a little bit too easy to please, but I've always been a huge fan of the 80s aesthetic, rock synth, sci-fi, fantasy, so it was just this amazing, harmonious blend of all of those things and more, and oh my god, I've just been recommending it to all of my friends. But before we get too far into this video, a spoiler warning: if you haven't watched the movie and want to, definitely save this video and come back to it after you've watched the film. In case you need a recap of the film, this is definitely a love letter to the original show, while also turning it into something completely and totally new. It's kind of like this reverse isekai, but not really. We've seen He-Man be trapped in other worlds before, albeit not too long. The main events of the movie take place 15 years after Skeletor has taken over Eternia. In the beginning, we get to see Eternia in all of its beautiful glory, Skeletor and all of his villainous glory, before Adam is spirited away by the power of Grayskull to Earth, where he's been trying to reclaim the Sword of Power to get back to Eternia. Obviously, since it took 15 years, it hasn't been going too well for him. But he finally does make it back and ends up joining forces with the original cast of the 80s show, all except Orko, to take down Skeletor and his evil forces and restore Eternia to its former glory. Like I said before, I am in love with this movie. This is probably my second favorite film that released this year, right behind Project Hail Mary, if not even with Project Hail Mary. It was just so much freaking fun. I think if you've never seen the original He-Man show or any background context for He-Man, you're still going to have a good time. I think that's where, if you've been a fan of the show before, you're gonna have an easier time kind of getting into this world, because this show is silly. It's like really fun and really cool if you can get back into like the mindset of your inner child. But when you go into this movie, it's no holds barred with the, we're gonna have a fun time with this, we're gonna make some silly jokes, it's gonna be goofy. Completely and totally goofy, while also being badass at the same time. I loved all of the freaking references. I mean, we have the "what's going on" meme, because you can't have a He-Man movie without it nowadays. You have callbacks to the original show, them in the final scene, like literally throwing back their heads and laughing like they do in the original show, like the vast majority of the episodes, it seems, or at least half of them. I was like, oh my god, they actually put it in there. Even the freaking He-Man theme song, they managed to put a little bit in there at the end, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was just so much freaking fun. It was so much fun. They unapologetically stuck to the character designs. There were some of these where I was like, I don't know how they're gonna do like Trapjaw, because Trapjaw, he's got a pretty silly design. These were all like just silly, fun toys made in the 80s that got their own show to promote the toy line, right? So some of these things are a little bit crazier, but it just worked for the time. And they made these designs work for today, too. It was just awesome. They did not back down. Obviously, there were some changes, some upgrades. I think Teela got the biggest overhaul. When she's first introduced as an adult, it's very much, okay, this is her outfit, but with pants. And I was like, you know what? That's fine. I'm totally okay with that, because I'm sorry, every time I saw her in the show and it did like the full zoom out and she had that very phallic looking ornament on her belt, I was always like, Teela, put your dick away. But that's beside the point. They got rid of that and they gave her pants. And I'm like, that's fine. I wish her hair was up for like the vast majority of the film, even back in a ponytail, because you can't tell me that this chick who's been hardened by this very harsh and brutal world was gonna have her hair flying in her face for all this time without it being like, okay, get out of my face. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me being extremely nitpicky. It did not bother me. I did like, however, that at the very end, she did get like the full outfit with like the headpiece, the skirt, no phallic ornament. She looked great. Everyone looked great. Really early on, I wasn't sure how hardcore they were going to stick to the character designs, because in like the 1987 movie, they were just like, this is close enough. We've modernized it. We've 80s-ized it. You know what I'm saying. But they didn't stick completely and totally close to the character designs, which was fine, but I got very excited over the fact that they were like, yes, this is a thing, this is happening. There were parts of this film where they were like, we're going to stick as close to it as possible, while also deviating enough to make it its own thing. For example, Skeletor's voice, he was one of the things that I was very freaking worried about going in. It was both Tila and Skeletor, possibly Orko, whenever I was going to go watch this. Skeletor, because let's be real, Skeletor is my favorite character in the show. How could he not be? He's just hysterical. I was like, I don't know if they're going to be able to get his voice correctly, if they're going to be able to like do a good job with making him both villainous and also silly as shit, but they really pulled it off. I know Jared Leto and the director really took their time to create a new voice, quote unquote, for Skeletor, because they didn't want to make it completely and totally nasally and high pitched like the 80s, but they didn't also want him to be completely and totally cartoony like the 1987 film. So I know that was a process to get his own sound, and he sounded great. I know that there's a lot of hate for Jared Leto on the internet. However, I'm going to defend this performance because I love Skeletor. I was prepared to be a little bit too harsh, not on purpose, but just like you have to do him justice. I thought he did great. I thought he did wonderful. Honestly, everyone's performances were phenomenal. This Prince Adam was so awkward, but managed to pull it off without coming across as cringe. There were some cringe moments, entirely cringe moments, yes, but it wasn't so bad where I was like, okay, I need to get up and leave the theater. Okay, I gotta turn off my TV. I'm a huge fan of the like dumb puppy, dumb himbo character that goes into uber protective mode whenever it comes down to like defending his friends. I love that. It's just super tropey, I know, but I love it. He was the best of the protective himbos. There are times where it goes over the top, like him stealing the sword. Dear God. And his HR scenes, there were a couple times where he's using like HR lingo to talk to the bad guys, and it was like, all right, guy, come on. But it was still, he was so much fun. Skeletor, oh my God, he was amazing. Everything I needed him to be. Seriously, everything that I needed him to be. The vision and memory sequence. What the fuck? Him and his fucking Nikes t-shirt in like the gym, working at HR, going on a date. I mean, man's looked really good in a suit. I'm gonna say it. Let's be real. A lot of us were thinking it. I'm just gonna voice those things out loud. Cringer, I wish he was introduced sooner. I wish that maybe whenever they'd crash landed in the forest, he'd like come out then, like maybe he'd escaped whenever things went down on the siege of Eternia, and he'd just been living there. And I guess it makes some sense why he was in the prison. If he'd grown up in the jungle, he most likely would have developed a character of courage. My argument there is that he could have been like hiding out in a cave all this time. You know what I'm saying? Like he still has this timid personality, because that's what Cringer is known for, right? So they had to keep that here too. He was a little bit more courageous in the film. I liked that, but still definitely like voiced his opinions. So I wish he showed up earlier. I get it. But I wish he showed up earlier because I do have a soft spot for Cringer. Duncan, he was great. I thought Idris Elba was like a wonderful pick for Duncan. I like that he was in the beginning a little bit more cocky and arrogant than like Duncan in the show. And in the show, he does have an attitude. He does. But like this one, he was even more like full of himself. And then the major shift in his character after he falls, failing to protect the king and his family. I got it. I can easily see Duncan just like holding on to that shame for a very, very long time. And he was just, I don't know, he was a great fit. But I love Idris Elba as well, so maybe I'm a little bit more biased there too. Tila, as mentioned earlier, was also a main concern for me going in as far as the characters go, because in the show, she's definitely hot-headed, but there were some episodes, like the Tila episodes, where it's like, all right, you're a little bit too much right now. And they also kind of did that with the 1987 thing. It was always like, I gotta make all the backhanded remarks left and right. So I was concerned that they were either going to do that with her in this film, or they were just going to make her the wishy-washy love interest. We got a solid balance. I really liked, and it was kind of a cringe moment, but it was also like, I respect the hell out of the scene whenever Adam goes in for a kiss after they've only been reunited for less than probably 12 hours at that point. And you think they're going to push the romance line a little bit too hard and it feels like it's going too fast. She's like, nope, we're friends. Nothing's gonna change that, haha. And it's kind of awkward and you can kind of see that there might be something there. But again, it's been like less than 12 hours. I'll be generous and say less than 24 hours, less than a day since they've reunited. I liked that she just wasn't, oh yeah, big strong man, come to save me, or fuck the big strong man, I'm just gonna be like bleh the entire time. It was a good solid blend. She was still hot-headed, definitely, especially with Duncan. It made sense because he's just been this like alcoholic who gave up, and I can see the shift from like, as a kid, she clearly respected the hell out of him, and because he taught her a lot and was a revered warrior, and now he's just to her eyes, given up. It made sense. It worked out really well. And then the last one, as far as the character concerns going in, was Orko. I was really curious to see how they were gonna pull it off, but instead we got Roboto. And I didn't recognize Roboto at first because of like the metal outfit, because that's not how he looked in the original show. But I liked it. We also had like Ram Man, Fisto, Mechanic, and a whole bunch of the other heroes of the original thing. Those guys were all there too, and they looked phenomenal, and they all fought phenomenally, and I loved it. But we did miss Orko. We did get him for like, what, 15 seconds at the end, doing his whole in today's episode spiel. And I was like, oh my God, they even added that at the end of the freaking movie, because they always had one of those stupid episode recaps at the end. And I gasped in the theater and was like, oh my God, he sounded exactly like he did in the show. And I get why they kind of replaced him with Roboto, because he is crazy personality-wise. And I think it would have been a little bit too crazy to have him and a very silly version of Adam together. Adam already brought a lot of the silly, so to just have Orko on top, it made sense. And he has such a large presence too, let's be real, that Roboto, they could have kind of hang back. There were scenes where she like was there and then she just disappeared and then didn't show up until like way later. So Roboto had less of a presence than Orko did. I can understand why. But then to have him like in the credits images, like he'd been there all along, was kind of weird. I'm hoping in the next movie, because I'm excited, friends. Even though this movie bombed in theaters, we do have confirmation that the second one is in development already. And I'm not sure if that's going to be another Masters of the Universe movie following Adam and his group, or if it's going to be a She-Ra movie. Because we did get the little Easter egg at the end with She-Ra, and she looks awesome. And I haven't seen too much of She-Ra, but oh my God, she looked awesome, and I'm excited. So you know I'm gonna go binge the crap out of that before I watch the next movie. So whatever it is, I'm very excited to go back to this universe, because the action was fucking tight in this film. It was beautiful. It was bright and vibrant. The music was amazing. It didn't have the most realistic animation, and I loved that. I love that. It was just an amazing 80s epic sci-fi fantasy adventure through and through. There were a couple of points where you just had to give it some leeway because it didn't quite work too well, or it didn't make too much sense. My two main points being like the final showdown and arguably him saying goodbye to his dad. Those were like the big ones. The one with him saying goodbye to his dad, the person I went with was kind of like, yeah, they gave him too much time with his dad at the end, because I feel like Skeletor would have come in and would have been like, nope, we're gonna knock you unconscious so much earlier. At the same time, my point of view was, I think it made sense that he didn't come in immediately. We needed that emotional story beat, period. However, in the show, Skeletor is in fact a little bit of a coward, so there are points where he runs off, kind of waits to regroup, and then comes back. Evil Lynn, I can absolutely see her running out of that situation and being like, nope, okay, he's got the upper hand, I'm gone. And made sense that she left. For me, it also made sense that Skeletor kind of like dipped whenever that section of the ceiling started coming down, and strategically only over his father and Skeletor. The area where Adam released the surge of power from his sword did hit that area, but like I feel like more of Snake Mountain would have caved in. Another hyper nitpicky thing, but it makes sense to me that Skeletor would have like run off for a bit, would have been like, oh, Snake Mountain isn't falling down. Oh, he's not pursuing me. Okay, we're gonna go back. And I gave it a lot of leeway there. The person I went with was like, it didn't work too well for me. I feel like it's either or, depending on who's watching it. The final showdown notes. The one thing I have with it that was like, what, why, huh? Because I loved the final showdown, was with Teela. Why the hell did Evil Lynn and Teela just stop fighting to watch Adam get stabbed? What the fuck? I understand that the two of them probably would have stopped fighting whenever there was the huge blast from Skeletor breaking the Sword of Power. I get that. I feel like immediately, one, they would have gone to assist both of their respective parties, or two, they would have continued fighting. But no, for some reason, they just stopped and watched. And if you have the time to stop and watch, then Teela, do something. Like, you clearly see that Skeletor has the upper hand Adam is on the floor, like dragging himself away from him as Skeletor has half of the busted blade, I would be like, no, that's the champion of Eternia. We gotta fix that before shit goes awry. But no, they literally just stand there and watch and proceed to stand there and watch for the remainder of the scene. And that's my big beef. However, it was still a fucking awesome fight sequence. I wish the fight sequence with Skeletor was longer, like, cause he was fucking awesome. Like, oh my god, when he's dealing blows on Adam after the Sword of Power has been fixed, it was just like, oh, it was just so cool. He was so freaking cool, but it made sense why it couldn't be longer because there's literally no way he can match up to Adam in strength. It's just not possible. Even Adam's like, yeah, I've been holding my punches. I've been pulling my punches, and then proceeds to beat the crap out of him. Like, I'm not a huge fan of slow-mo and like copious amounts, but the scene where he's just beating the crap out of Skeletor, I'm like, listen, you may be beating up my favorite character, but this is just awesome. And the glowy eyes, I'm just fangirling over everyone at that point, but that's okay. I will add, however, that I wish whenever Adam pulled the sword out of his chest and his chest and sword was glowing, the sword was whole. Whenever he was talking to the sorceress in his room, whenever he's like starting to lose consciousness, literally die, and his chest started glowing, I thought, okay, since the power's in him, when he pulls the blade out of his chest, it's literally gonna just be whole. Like he is the vessel and the blade is just an extension of him. Or maybe when he starts pulling out the hilt of the sword, the pieces start flying back to like make the sword as it's pulled out of his chest. Instead of it being like, I'm gonna pull out the broken hilt, I'm gonna raise it, and then it's all gonna come in. I just think that would have been visually more stunning and like, to just further embody the fact that he does have the power. It's never been the Sword of Power. Regardless of that little cinematic note, amazing. I loved it. This movie was just solid through and through. It was more than solid for me. I had an amazing time. I was laughing the entire way through. I am so sad that it bombed in theaters because a lot of thought was clearly put into this film and making sure that the original fans felt at home with this movie, that new fans could be brought in and enjoy this experience. It makes me so sad. I highly, highly, highly recommend this film, truly. You do not have to watch the 1980s show. You do not have to watch the reboot shows. You don't have to watch the 1987 movie. Though if you have, that cameo with Dolph Lundgren at the very beginning, I was so excited. I'm so happy that I watched that on a whim because I didn't have to. Worth it. Worth it, worth it, worth it. You don't have to watch any of it, though you will be able to pick up some more Easter eggs. You will have a deeper appreciation for it. It's kind of like book to movie adaptations. You could still go into the movie and have a great, great time with it. It's a wonderful film. It's so full of hope. It's so pretty. If you love rock and synth rock, you're gonna have an amazing playlist to listen to afterwards. It's just gold. And I am so happy that we are in fact getting the sequel. So if you've watched this film, please comment what you thought of this film below. I really want to talk about this some more. Seriously, not enough people have watched it. We need to get more people to watch it because I would love 3, maybe 4, maybe a gazillion more because I may not have grown up with He-Man like I said, but I am a huge fan through and through. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you guys next time.